Welcome to OLC 4.0. This is Term 1B, Class 18. We're looking at A27 and A28 Part A today. And we're going to be looking at prefixes as well. All right, this is Wednesday, December 12th, 2023. I'm Jillian Percy. Here is the contact info. Assignments can be sent to student.work@nnec.on.ca. Please make sure to include your full name, the course name, the assignment number or name, and whether it's a rough or a good draft. I have to know that because oftentimes it affects how much marks. Sometimes the rough draft is worth like 5 marks and the good draft is worth 15. If you have to take a photo of an assignment, please send it as an attachment to the email. Don't send it directly in the body of the email. That's very hard for us to print off, and it doesn't show properly on the computer. If you have a question about an assignment, about your marks, you can send me an email at jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. I am here at the studio 1-800-465-7144. So if you want to talk about the 2 assignments we're discussing today, that'd be a great time. And if you need to reach me at the office, 1-800-667-3703, extension 2211. I'm normally here from 11 to 2. Then I do the show, I take a lunch break, and then I am back in the office from 4 to 6. So if you need to reach me, those are good times. If you're looking for class recordings, you can look at YouTube on capital G, capital P, ERCY, space, capital W, AHSA. I have the 1B all listed as one playlist. I have the previous term, 1A, all listed as one playlist, and that will include information on all the assignments. So if you're past where we are today, that is a great place to look. Okay, our work for today, we're going to understand the meaning of common. Ooh, are we doing suffixes or prefixes still? Okay, prefixes, sorry. That changed. Originally, I thought we would get through the prefixes and move on, but we didn't quite. Understand the meaning of a symbol, understanding the meaning and usage of common symbols, understanding the use of common emoticons or emojis, understanding the audience and purpose for advertising, and understanding common hooks that advertisers use. Okay, so continuing with common prefixes. And again, remember we talked about how sometimes there'll be 2 that sound very different but are the same kind of meaning. And it's because English borrows from a lot of other languages. We have Greek roots, Latin roots, Norse, Germanic. So for the first one, intra or intro, both mean the idea of within or inside. So then you have words like intravenous, intragalactic, introvert. Macro is large or prominent. Macroeconomics, macro structure, macrocosm. And then micro is the opposite, and that's very small. Microscope, microcosm, microbe. Mono is one single or alone. A monocle, a monologue, monogamy, monotony. This is that thing we talked about the other day where certain prefixes, their pronunciation will change depending on what comes after them. So that can be confusing because they don't sound the same, and it can be hard to recognize that actually it's the same prefix, even if it's pronounced differently. Non is the same idea as not or without. So a non-entity, non-aggressive, non-essential, non-fiction. Oh, this is just frustrating. I'm sorry, friends. Okay. Hang on, and I'll just get us back to where we were. Okay. Omni is all or every. So omniscient, omnivorous, omnidirectional. Post is after or behind. Postmortem, posterior, postscript, postoperative. Pre or pro are before or forward, precede, predict, project, prologue. So if I said I need to preview my math lessons today, what do I mean? Well, view is to look, right? And preview is like before looking. So look over before. Before I do my math lessons, I need to look over those lessons. He used the macro lens on his camera. Now, that doesn't mean just a lens that is big. It means a lens that will make what you see big, right? It will make small things, small objects, look bigger. So you use a macro lens to take pictures of like bugs and flowers and things like that. Okay, here we have sub, which is under or lower, like submarine, subsidiary, substandard. Sim or syn, same time or together, symmetry, symposium, synchronize, synapse. Tele is like from or across a difference. So you've got telecommunications, telemedicine, television, telephone. Trans is across or beyond or through. Transmit, transaction, translation, transfer. Tri is a phrase that means three or third. A tricycle or a trimester, triangle, triathlon. Un is another one that means not or lacking or opposite, unfinished, unskilled, ungraceful, or unfriendly. Now, this one looks almost the same, but it's not uni, it's uni. And it's like one or single, like a unicorn, unicellular, unicycle, or unilateral. Up is either to the top or the north, or it could be higher and better, like upbeat, updo, upgrade, upload, uphill, upstage, upscale, or uptempo. The drill on that machine is unidirectional. What does that mean? Basically means it only goes in one direction. So maybe if you picture like a machine in a factory where you can't move the drill around, it only goes, say, up and down. It is a subterranean bunker. Well, terranean sounds a lot like terrain, which makes me think of ground, and sub is under. So I think that that means it's going to be underground. Okay. How is all of this useful? Well, understanding common prefixes can help us understand familiar words using the context clues around them and the words themselves. So I say the new sales manager seems very immature. Well, mature would mean like adult or developed, and im is the opposite. So not mature, right? Not mature, not developed, maybe even juvenile, right? Like a juvenile would be like a young person. She works for a non-profit organization. Well, profit means making money. A non-profit means not making a profit. So that'd be something like Red Cross would be a non-profit organization, or the soup kitchen might be non-profit, right? They're not there to make money. They get their funding from elsewhere. They're just there to provide a service. The experiment didn't work because the solution became oversaturated. All right, well, something's saturated, it's full up. If it's oversaturated, it'd be like it's too full, right? And if you know anything about solutions, solutions are in science where you add I forget the right word, but solids basically to the solution, and they're supposed to dissolve. If it gets oversaturated, it's not going to dissolve. There's too much solids in the fluid for them to dissolve properly. Okay, so we're going to work at lesson 9 first. Sorry, lesson 9. It's a very short lesson. This one is just worth 10 marks. In lesson 7, we looked at how to read a textbook. In this lesson, we're going to look at how to read a type of text you may not have thought of as text. But if you're getting information out of it when you look at it and think about it, then you are reading. And as we have seen, there are many different types of reading that people do every day, and many reasons for doing so. Visual text is text that, as the name implies, is visual. It's something you can see. There are usually words and pictures involved, but they work together to enhance the meaning of what you're looking at. Can you think of any examples of text where the pictures are as important, if not more important, than the words. If you said comic books, then you are right on track. There are other forms too, such as maps, tables, charts, timelines, diagrams, and even advertisements and instruction manuals. It's important to understand the organizational structure of a variety of visual texts so that you can identify the purpose of the text and easily locate information and identify important details. So, how does the form of a visual text help the reader to understand the information or message it is trying to convey? They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. You be the judge. Let's take a look here. Okay, so before we go on, I've had this conversation with a few people, and a lot of people aren't really sure what does the word symbol even mean? So here I kind of did a little snapshot of symbol from the dictionary online. Um, it can be a sign, a shape, or an object that is used to represent something else. So for example, a heart shape is a symbol of love. The wheel in the East Indian flag is a symbol of peace. A dove is often a symbol of peace in Christianity. Something that is used to represent a quality or an idea. So water is sometimes considered a symbol of life. And so in this sentence, they say it recurs as an image throughout her poems. A symbol could also be a number, a letter, or a sign used in mathematics, music, science. The symbol for oxygen is O, right? There's a little note symbol that tells you what to play. An object can also be described as a symbol of something else if it seems to represent it because it is connected with it in a lot of people's minds. So if we say a private jet is a symbol of wealth, I mean, technically, you could have a private jet and not be wealthy if that was where all your money had gone. But normally, if somebody says, "Oh, I took my private jet," you're usually thinking of somebody who's got millions and maybe even billions of dollars, because people who don't have a lot of money just buy a ticket. It's much cheaper, obviously. Okay, so assignment 27 is called emoticons and symbols. Unless you've not used a computer or a cell phone to send emails or text messages before, you'll be familiar with the emoticon or emoji. Now, this was written a little while ago, and they've used kind of the older fashioned word. I don't know if this is even really used commonly anymore. Um, Emoticon, the first part of the word looks like emotion, and the second part of the word comes from the word icon, which is defined as a picture. So what does one do with an emoticon? So back when I first started using computers, which is a long time ago, these different letters and punctuation marks were used to create often like a picture of a face, if you looked at it sideways usually. And it gives you an example of when you would use it. These days, they've kind of been transformed into actual visual emojis instead. So it's possible if you're on the younger side, unlike me, you might not recognize some of these emoticons. And if that's the case, if you go to Wikipedia and write list of emoticons, it will pull up them and tell you what it means, okay? Um, Number two, just asks for your opinion. Why do you think emoticons or emojis have become so popular? So as long as you tell me a reason that makes sense, I will take it, right? Um, List 3 other emoticons or emojis that you have seen, used or seen, what they mean, and when you would use them. So for this question, you have to draw or insert the emoji or emoticon, plus tell me what it means, plus tell me when you would use it. And you would do this for 3 of them. So here's an example of how that would sound. Here is the silly face emoji. It means the person is acting silly or trying to be funny. I would use it if I was talking to a close friend to make sure they knew something I said was meant to be a joke or sarcastic. So I'm mentioning this because a lot of times people mention one part and they don't draw the emoji, or they don't tell me when they would use them. So they end up losing marks because they're only telling me part of the answer. Number 4, brainstorm a list of reasons for using symbols instead of words. In other words, why? Why do we use symbols instead of words? Hint, think about when symbols are useful or maybe even necessary. Number 5, do you consider punctuation, things like periods, commas, exclamation marks, quotation marks, to be symbols? Why or why not? And they wrote the hint, you may want to refer to a dictionary or an online encyclopedia such as Wikipedia to find a definition for punctuation before answering this question. Now, my hint is think about our definition of a symbol. And I want to make 2 really important notes here. You cannot write me a dictionary definition as your answer. You can mention the definition if you want, but you will still need to explain why they are or are not symbols. 2, different dictionaries will give you different definitions. So we might not all have the exact same answer, and that's fine as long as you can explain why. Tell me why you think it's a symbol or why you don't. If it's reasonable, I will be perfectly happy with it. Okay, so here are some poor answers and here are some good answers. Poor answers. I think they're symbols because the dictionary said so. Nope, I won't take that. You have to explain why you think so. I think they are not symbols because the dictionary didn't say anything about symbols. Nope, I want to know what you think, not just what the dictionary thinks. Symbols are a mark or character used as a conventional representation of an object, function, or process, e.g., the letter or letters standing for a chemical element or a character in musical notation. This is a poor answer because, first of all, it's obviously copied directly from dictionary. People don't write that way. They haven't given credit to the dictionary. They didn't say, Webster's dictionary says. That doesn't really answer our question. And it doesn't make sense as a sentence. It's not grammatical. Dictionaries don't write grammatical sentences. They write sort of a short form that's a very specific style to dictionaries. And when people copy that and put it here, I can always tell it looks very obvious. Okay, so please don't. You don't get the marks if you do that. A good answer, the dictionary said, and then you could tell me what the dictionary said if you want to. You don't have to. And I think punctuation marks, I'm going to change that right now. I think punctuation marks are or are not symbols because, and then you have to tell me your reasons. And that spot here where you give me your reason, that's where all the marks are coming from. That's why I'm saying it doesn't really matter what the dictionary says. I want to see if you understand how to think about it, not if you have just memorized what the dictionary said. So this is a good answer because it gave credit to the dictionary. It didn't pretend it was their own words. It answers the actual question. And hopefully, if you've written it well, then it makes sense, right? Okay, question number 6. Here, they've given you 12 different symbols, but they wrote 3 here. Sometimes people think that means they only have to pick 3, but no, you actually need to tell me what every single one of these means, okay? Now, if you're not sure, you can search on Google. This row, for example, these are all road signs. This one, these are all warning signs on material labels. These ones are kind of more generic. I kind of hope everybody can recognize this one. Here are some links to sites where you could understand the symbols if you're stuck. So this one, a sec. This is from the Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety, sometimes known as WHMIS, and it shows you right there what those symbols are and what they mean. So those are some examples. If you aren't quite sure if these ones match, you could use an American site, and that's just fine. That's a quick example. You can also go to road signs. So if you go down, it's not right till at the top. After, there you go. And so then you can see the different signs and you could look them up and make sure that you understand. It says right underneath it what they are. The last one, this is kind of more generic, just common symbols and meanings and how to use them. So for example, if I wasn't sure what this means, because this shows up on maps for all the time, it's a flag, right? That symbol stands for a flag. Arrows, I don't know if arrows are really a symbol. I guess they kind of are a symbol. Anyways, those are places you can find the answers to question 6. This is just my own addition. We've been talking about symbols as text in the last 2 assignments. Tattoos are often another form of visual text that you see often on a daily basis. Tattoos often hold great meaning for the person who has one. In fact, tattoos often tell stories, indicate spiritual beliefs, show what a person is or was interested in, as well as a whole host of other information. A picture really is worth 1,000 words. So things like butterflies, they might be used because people think they're pretty, but butterflies are often a symbol of transformation. This kind of symbol is often an example that somebody might be in the Navy because it's an anchor. This might show that somebody is interested in Celtic lore because these are very Celtic symbols. This could be something else. Sometimes people will use Chinese or Japanese symbols. They might have like one word like strength or beauty or something. So these are another form of a symbol. Okay, so then we move very quickly on to lesson 10. Lesson 10 we'll be talking about today and we will be talking about tomorrow because it's kind of a long one. I think it's a really interesting one. I think it's one of the most interesting ones in the whole course, quite frankly. Here's a quote from Will Rogers, who's a really old um, actor. He acted as a cowboy in a whole bunch of pictures. Advertising is the art of convincing people to spend money they don't have for something they don't need. So the above quote is interesting and kind of negative, but you have to admit there are times when you're watching TV or reading a magazine or even just driving down the road minding your own business and you see like um, either hear something on the radio or you see a billboard and suddenly you need something that's being advertised. It's important that you as a consumer, in other words, a shopper, become literate in reading and or watching or hearing advertisements. All advertisements target a specific audience and they're always created for specific purposes, usually to persuade you to buy something. Often advertisements try to appeal to more than one group of people. After all, the more people that are influenced by the ad, the more money the company doing the advertising makes. Having said that, usually advertisers, it costs a lot of money to create ads and to post them. So they usually think really carefully about who they're trying to get to buy their product because not everybody's going to buy every product that's sold out there. Um, the audience can be very specific. They might aim ads specifically at specific genders, certain age groups, kids, teenagers, young adults, middle-aged, seniors, specific income ranges. For example, anybody could buy a certain brand of orange juice, but luxury cars may be affordable only to a certain income bracket or a certain age group. Specific hobbies, activities, or lifestyles, woodworking enthusiasts, young couples with no children, people who travel a lot, or it may be aimed at certain regions, coastal regions, large urban centers, rural areas. So if you're talking about how much fun a seaside getaway is, that's not going to be very compelling if you live on the coast. It might be really compelling though if you live in a big city and don't often get to see water. So different ads are written towards different audiences. And that's one of the things we're going to be looking at over the next couple days. So here is a really cool Heinz ketchup commercial. And before we watch it, I want you to be thinking about who are they targeting? Who's their audience? What appeal are they making? What hook are they using? How are they trying to make their product look really attractive to other people? So hang on a second.
In a world where academic deadlines meet the blank page.
Grammarly?
Hi, yes. With Grammarly by your side at every step of the writing process, you can feel confident submitting a top-notch paper. Welcome to Ideation Station.
I'm feeling stuck on this topic for my biology paper.
Hang on, friends.
I've got an idea for a Heinz ketchup commercial. I was at...
Let me see what I can do. Nope, that's on. And I'm pretty sure I did screen sharing. Okay, well, you know what? We are going to watch this anyways because it really is. Hang on, let me check this one thing. Okay, it is kind of important.
This super posh restaurant. Super posh. The type of place that has chandeliers and paintings on the wall and way too...
I'm going to go back to the beginning. Hang on real quick. Okay, so this is based on a real message from Ed Sheeran.
I've got an idea for a Heinz ketchup commercial. I was at this super posh restaurant. Super posh. The type of place that has chandeliers and paintings on the wall and way too many forks. I think classical music was playing. Maybe it was jazz. No, definitely classical. The hostess walks up to me and she says, "Mr. Sheeran, is this your first time dining with us?" And I say, "Yep." The waiter comes over, he's telling me about the specials. Super fancy vegetables, fancy sauces. I said, "Sounds fancy." So fast forward and the food comes. The waiter goes on to tell me, "We are proud to present this farm to table, blah blah blah, posh and fancy, blah blah blah, with a side, blah blah blah." You know, the food looked good. I just thought there was something missing. So I reach into my bag and I take out the only thing that can complete me. And at that point, the whole world came to a stop.
And everyone's faces is horrified if you haven't seen it yet.
And the waiter was screaming through his eyes.
No! And he walks off.
So that's my idea. Do you want to do it?
If you haven't seen this commercial, I really encourage you to go onto Google and listen to it because it really is funny hearing this in Ed Sheeran's voice. Okay, let's go back to, hang on. Who are they targeting and who is their audience? Now, sometimes people are going to tell me anybody, but here's the thing. My 85-year-old mom would be completely baffled by this commercial because first of all, she would have no clue who Ed Sheeran is, none at all. And second of all, she would also be horrified by the idea of putting ketchup on your fancy food, right? Because she's kind of old-fashioned. So what appeal are they making? Well, they're using famous people. How are they making their product look attractive? Oh my goodness, if Ed Sheeran is that in love with Heinz ketchup, it must be amazing. They're also they're not targeting rich people, right? Because the commercial's kind of making fun of rich people. It's targeting more kind of like down to earth, like Ed Sheeran is down to earth and Heinz ketchup is down to earth too. So they have a very specific audience in mind, right? Maybe people from 20 to say 60, which is still a certain target, maybe a certain income level, right? Probably not over 100,000 or 150,000. I don't know. But this is an example where this ad wouldn't necessarily appeal to everybody. Okay. So here is an ad. It says the shoe works if you do, and there's a picture of shoes. And then the ad copy says the Nike Sweet Classic High is comfortable while still remaining in style. With great quality and a wide variety of color options, these sneakers are perfect for casual use. Stay fly, stay fresh, and get yourself a pair. Just do it. So who made this ad? Well, Nike. They say it here and they say it down here. What are they selling? Shoes. Who do you think the audience is? Now, normally for running shoes, I might say it was for somebody a little bit younger. And it could be, but they're talking about a classic shoe. This is kind of an old-fashioned looking shoe. It almost has a 70s look to it to me, that kind of denim shoe. So they might be trying to appeal to an older audience or the younger audience that think it's kind of hip to be into like vintage and retro stuff. How are they trying to convince you to buy their product? It's got great quality. It's got a wide variety of color options. They're perfect for casual use because sometimes Nike is really geared upscale and can be quite expensive, right? So maybe these ones are also a little bit more affordable. I don't know. So they have a lot of ways they're trying to get you to be interested in this and get you to want to buy these. Here's another really interesting ad. If you are on the radio, there's a one human leg and then a prosthetic leg. And the ad copy says, spare parts for humans are not as original as those for cars. Don't drink and drive. And that says issued in public interest by BMW. So who made the ad? BMW, the car company. What are they selling? I mean, there's no cars in there, but if they weren't selling anything, they wouldn't need to put their logo there. So they are still selling cars. Who is their audience? Well, anybody who's interested in drinking responsibly. Maybe people who have kids, people who are conscientious about their health. How are they trying to make their product look compelling? Well, they're implying that they're a different car company because they care about how you drive. And I was thinking of this yesterday. I was almost wondering, is there any chance that BMW is involved in making prosthetics? Not as their main company, but you know how sometimes companies are owned by an overall umbrella company? I wondered if maybe they're owned by an umbrella company that also is involved in making these kind of products. So they're trying to make themselves look compassionate, caring, looking out for you. So kind of like the car company with a heart. That's kind of their idea they're selling here, right? Okay, so all this goes into assignment 28, which is called advertisers and their audiences. And we're going to split this assignment up into 2 days because there's quite a lot to talk about. So part A, we're going to talk about today, and part B, we will talk about tomorrow. So it's really important to notice how different groups of people are portrayed or seen in different advertisements. Your task is to go through some magazines or newspapers. You can also use online internet, okay? Until you have some advertisements targeted towards the following group of people. You can do this assignment using advertisements found on the internet, but the ads themselves must be in the format of a magazine ad, which we'll discuss more in a few minutes. Make sure you get permission from the owner of the magazine before you rip the ad out. Now, obviously, you don't have to rip the ad out. You can take a picture of it with your phone. Okay. You can also, as I said, find them online. Now, any of these ads that you use, hang on to them because you're going to need them for part B. Okay. Once you've got an ad for each category of person, if you can, fill in the chart to describe using point form what the ad is selling and how the people are portrayed in the advertisement. So some places you might be able to find print magazines are nursing stations, doctors, dentist's office, library at the grade school, public library, small stores. Okay, so senior citizens, here's the people they're looking for. Women, men, teenagers, people of color, parents, families, children, celebrities, middle-aged people, young adults, wealthy people, disadvantaged people, and people with challenges. Now, I got to be honest, I wasn't really sure what they meant by the last two categories. People with challenges made me think that maybe they were thinking of people with medical issues, like possibly a wheelchair or with a certain kind of disability, like, I don't know, deafness or something. I wasn't sure. And then disadvantaged people. That's such a general term because I mean, people with challenges might be disadvantaged. Um, so I'm not sure what they mean by that. Do they mean people in poverty, immigrants? Do they mean minorities due to race or sexual orientation? So you can use your best judgment about what fits those categories. I will be pretty lenient with those two because I think they've made it a bit confusing. Now, here's an example. Here is an ad This is obviously geared or targeted towards senior citizens. And you see a beautiful sunset. There's two older people, obviously a couple. He's got his arm around her back. They're wearing kind of ordinary clothes, but they have little purple fake crowns on their head. And the ad copy says, Knightsbridge Home Healthcare Service, the best home healthcare on this side of town. We want to make choosing home care as simple and convenient while providing a peace of mind that your loved ones can remain independent in their home. Come to us and we will make sure you and your loved ones are cared for like royalty in your palace. Call us now and let our specialist guide you. 347-945-9074. Okay, so what are they selling? They're selling home health care services. So like what a PSW does, like where they come and take care of older people. Maybe they help bathe them or change them, help them get food. How are they portraying the older people here? Well, it's pretty positive. They look ordinary. They're in a field, they're crowned, they seem happy. Maybe that's because of the sunrise. So remember, you want to tell me what are they selling and how do they portray the people? Some people have just tried to send me the ads as if I was going to do the work, but no, you have to do the work. I will not market if you just send me the ads and don't write anything. I will just send the ads back to you, okay? Now, this is a really tiny space. I would have a hard time writing in there because I write kind of big. So if you also write kind of big, you can always pull out some notebook paper or do it on your computer. And that's just fine. So here I've given myself more room to write what I want to write. I've changed it up, the same kind of idea though. Okay, please make sure to include both what they're selling and how the person in question is portrayed. Not just how they look, but how they're trying to make you feel about the person. People often lose almost half their marks during this assignment for doing one or the other, but not both. So, if you are looking for things on the internet, you need to be a little bit cautious because if you just write magazine ads in the search bar, it will bring up all sorts of images, but not all of them are actually magazine ads. So here are some examples from one search that I did. Just because your search engine grabs the image doesn't mean that it counts as a magazine ad. You still have to use your best judgment as to whether it really is one. So what is wrong with these pictures and how do I know they don't count as a magazine ad? Well, this, for example, this is just a picture of someone's desk. It isn't a magazine ad. It does have the word advertising there, which is maybe why it got grabbed, but I couldn't use this to do the project. This is the cover of a magazine. It's not really an ad either. So I also couldn't use it because they're not selling anything other than the magazine there. This one is a funny one. I'm not sure why it got grabbed. It doesn't look like an ad. It's not a magazine cover, I don't think. It might be part of a meme, or maybe it's a photo that was designed to go along with a magazine story. But regardless, they don't seem to be selling anything, so I can't use it, okay? How can you be sure that it is a magazine ad? Typical magazine ads are the full page of a magazine. They'll look something like this long rectangle, okay? They're around 8 by 5 or 11. They're not all the same size, right? The name of the product will be somewhere on the page, even if it's quite small, or the name of the company that's selling things. It will not have the name of a magazine on it. That would mean it's only a magazine cover. It could also not have any moving graphics, right? That only works on computers. So if you enter a phrase like magazine print ads in your search engine, a lot of items are going to come up. So here is an example. Here is a screenshot of what I see. But again, not all of these are actual ads. Some of them are stories about ads. Like this one says 21 brilliant magazine print ads. If I clicked on that, I would come up on an article that might include examples of magazine ads that I could use. So here's an example as well. So it kind of is one, but there's more there. Here's another one. This one, no, I would definitely need to go through and click on the article. This one as well. This is an ad for a software, Canva. It's not really a thing. This might be. This is. This might be one. This I think is two. Oops, doesn't want to come. Oh, don't do that. Hang on. Okay. But this isn't. This is advertising Adobe. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but you're going to have to kind of click around and make sure it really is a magazine ad. Now, some of these images might be useful in more ways than one. So this is what I was just talking about. See how underneath it says 17 clever print ad examples? This shows that there's going to be more print ads if I click on it. So it might give you some more great ideas. Now, I did take a look at digital magazines because I thought maybe they would still include some print ads, but they really didn't seem to. Okay. I checked a few things. For the most part, they used graphic ads that had moving parts that didn't really suit things. Okay. You can also enter really specific search engine terms like magazine ads with senior citizens, magazine ads with teenagers, so that it can help you find specific things. You may not want to use the very first one because there's a strong likelihood that someone else will have already done that one. Doesn't really change. I'm not going to mark you down for it, but it's always more interesting to see different ones. Now, when they say, what do they mean by how are they portrayed? How do the people in the magazine ad seem to be feeling? Are they happy, sad, scared, disgusted, embarrassed? How are they dressed? Are they in ragged, dirty clothes, in fancy clothes, in professional suits? How are other people in the ad reacting to them if there's more than one person? Is someone else acting like they're proud of them, fearful, acting disgusted, admiring? Are they acting excited? What is their relationship to the product being sold? Is it solving all their problems? Is it making them safer or happier? Is it helping them get a better job or maybe a better romantic partner or a better lifestyle? So here is an example. What are they selling? They are, it looks like they're selling her, doesn't it? But actually they are selling Protein World. They're selling some sort of protein powder that they're saying is a weight loss. They're targeting it in this one for girls. They have other ads where they're clearly targeting it towards men. And they're portraying it as a product for girls who want to look really sexy and what they're calling beach body ready. And this girl's in a very revealing bikini. And the idea is if you use this product, you'll look just as skinny and beautiful as her. This ad actually caused a whole bunch of protests because people didn't like that phrase beach body ready, and linking it with this body was, so you're saying that people that don't look as beautiful as her, they can't go to the beach. So if they're heavier or older or not as perfect, not as revealing. So this ad actually got yanked, I believe, because it caused so many protests because people were really offended by this ad. Here is not the same company, but this is one also doing protein powder, but now they're targeting a guy. And here you can see it's not as revealing an ad, right? They're barely showing his whole body. His back's to us. We're certainly not seeing any kind of, anyways. He's got great big muscles and there's a golden glow, right? He almost looks like he's a superhero. So this is kind of obviously geared more towards a male audience than a female audience, because in this one, they're wanting you to picture that you look like him, or in this one, they're wanting you to picture that you look like her. Like, this product will give you this type of body. In both cases, people would have to do a lot of working out to get these bodies, right? Taking a protein powder isn't magically going to give you this body. I think I'm gonna skip over the next one just because I'm running. Oh no, okay, I got time. Um, in this ad, they're kind of selling the idea of driving safe. They're not really selling a product. This might be a nonprofit company. Here, there's a teenager in a wheelchair, but he's not portrayed in a very positive light, right? His head is down. You can't really see his face. He's in a shadow. He looks kind of defeated and lonely. And the ad copy is pretty harsh. It says, drive stupid and score some kicking new wheels. Um, I don't know. I don't know if this is an older ad. I feel like this would be considered pretty offensive today because it's kind of putting down people who are in wheelchairs and implying that anybody in a wheelchair is there because they had a fatal, or not a fatal, a a really bad car accident. So this is a very negative portrayal of people in wheelchairs, because it kind of gives the idea that it's all your fault, right? Rather than acknowledging that many people in wheelchairs are there through no fault of their own, through sickness, diseases, accidents. So it's a very negative portrayal of people in wheelchairs. And that's the kind of thing we're trying to get you to be aware of in this in this project, right? That they're going towards stereotypes. And sometimes that can cause us to have very negative opinions of ourselves or of the people that don't meet those stereotypes. Um, if you have not yet read chapter 4, please do so, because we are now at the spot where we've done all the predictions about chapter 4. You could also read chapter 5 and 6 so we can talk about it. Chapter 6, though, I wanted to give you a heads up. It has some pretty challenging subjects in it, okay? It covers the topic of suicide. So if you find yourself overwhelmed or triggered by negative thoughts while reading it, it is okay to stop reading it. And I'm giving you a heads up ahead of time so that if you know, hey, that's not going to do me any good, don't read it. You can still do this entire course without ever reading that particular chapter. Okay, it's not crucial to this course. There are no assignments specifically based on chapter 6. So if you want to read it, that is okay. But I am giving you full on permission to not read it if you do not want to. Okay. If you start to read it, find yourself having some dark thoughts about self-harm, please reach out to your local health authorities, the nursing station, the hospital, if you feel like you need help. I have included a slide of possible hotlines to call if you feel like you're having an emergency health crisis, okay? So here are some examples. The Hope for Wellness offers immediate help to all Indigenous people. It is available 24 hours a day. It is open 7 days a week. The hotline there is 1-855 242-3310. There's also an online chat if you feel more comfortable doing that way. There's one called Talk Suicide, 1-833-456-4566. That's if you're trying to get help for dark thoughts. We have Talk for Healing. Now, this one is geared specifically towards Indigenous women. Sorry, guys. This one is specifically women. They cover 14 different languages. 1-855-554 HEAL, HEAL. This is the Métis Nations Healing and Wellness branch. It says that they offer 24 mental health and addictions crisis line. This one is only available in English and French. 1-877-767-7572. This is the ETAG Healing Lodge and Learning Center, 705-534-3724. And then if you live in the Fort Francis area, they have a tribal area health services, 807-271-0194. I do not want anyone to have a bad episode just because they were reading a book, right? This course is not worth it, and there is no assignments, none, that depend on you reading that chapter, okay? So please use your best judgment and exercise good self-care and make your best choices for what you need to do for that, okay? Tomorrow we will talk about we will talk about assignment 28, but part B and probably assignment 29, I believe, okay? I hope you have fun doing the advertisement assignments. I think they're kind of fun. And if you have any questions about it, give me a phone call or shoot me a message and I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you so much.